Yeah, I mean, I've always, oddly enough, just like known what I wanted, and it's just been like a laser focus to like go get it, and um, and I think that that goal keeps changing. I love learning. I think it's the most invigorating thing, and I think that my passion just points me in different directions, but like always very solidly towards something until I feel like I've achieved it. And and at some point it was art, and then at other point it was like technology. I went to an art school, and there I absorbed everything that I could. And then when I got to Pixar, my technical skill was actually, well, I wouldn't say lacking because you can have a perfect artist that is just doing art, but I wanted to learn about the technology side of things too, and I learned a lot about programming and a lot about math that I like, the sort of more complicated math than I took in university, and it's always that it's always like keep putting yourself in that, like walking into a room and it just feels like it's dark and you're finding your way, and I think a lot of people they play it too safe, and they're like, you know what, I'm gonna go to school and I'm gonna like learn the real foundation for how to like learn things. But I feel like that's not always the best use of your energy. Sometimes you just like Arlo, sometimes you just need to believe in yourself, and you need to be okay with the darkness. You need to be okay with being in a place where you don't know anything, and you need to be okay with being the dumbest guy in the room. There's so many things. If I had to choose one, um, I had probably never worked on a movie at this capacity. Uh, uh, I ended up being on this film for 3.5 years. Uh, 3.5 years, and I feel like it was at a point in which I was finally like getting my stride, like getting the hang of things. And I feel like this was the movie where I finally like understood how to do my job well, and I got to work on some fun characters because of it, like Butch and like Arlo and like Spot and stuff like that. Yeah. So for Spot, we were, for each one of these characters, we have some ideas, and you never know until you try them. And so at first, the exploration begins with kind of character design. But once we build these puppets and we can actually run acting tests with them, I build the puppet, and then animation does the acting through my puppet. And it's interesting because Spot went through an exploration of like, I feel like most people, they're like, oh yeah, Spot's a dog, right? But like he went through iterations where he was a squirrel, or he was a monkey, or he was like a raccoon, or like, did he use his opposable thumbs, or did he like pick things up like, like in weird ways? And how does he, like when he's moving from one tree to another, does he do it like a monkey, or does he do it like a squirrel? And so there's all these subtleties as to how one can begin to find who this character is, and we go through the same exploration for all the characters. Like for example, for Butch, we were like exploring how much of that like horse kind of like feel do we build, do we put into the character, and you never know until you try. So we just try it. We show it to the director, and we go from there. Yeah. Yeah, I love Pete Sohn, man. He's. I've never met somebody so humble, and I think that it. He just has the Pixar personality, which is important with leaders of like hundreds of people are following them, and he has everything that you need. He's extremely talented. He's a good human being. He's very receptive to kind of opinion, and I think that honesty, and he's extremely funny. Like I mean, when we would have like crew meetings, and it's just like him up there talking, it's so fun. It's like a half an hour stand-up comedy, you know, and I think that's the type of vibe that permeates through all of the people working on the movie. They all get kind of like behind his vision, and yeah, and it's great. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love it. I mean, if we could make silent movies, well, silent movies with sounds, no dialogue. The more we could do of that, I love it because my theory as to why I love it so much is because it's I've always I'm originally from Mexico, and I came to the United States not knowing English, and I feel like I developed using like my hands to like communicate, you know, to like explain stories and to, and I feel like I had to become really good at nonverbal communication, and I feel like that, and I feel like why that's important and why my theory as to why I love it more than movies with dialogue is because it's it's so easy to explain a story through dialogue, um, and sometimes you're like really good at lying through words, but it's really hard to lie through verbal communication, through like body gestures and stuff. We're really horrible at doing that, and so I feel like I don't know. I feel like Buster Keaton or like Charlie Chaplin, like all of these guys communicated full fantastic stories without dialogue, and I just really enjoy it. Yeah, I think my favorite scene. I have two favorite scenes, but I think my favorite one is the Spot's. I think it's Spot's effigy, which is when he's explaining to Arlo that his parents, you know, died as well, and it's the first time that like that those two characters have a real connection. Yeah, it's very great. I think the best part is that everyone is allowed to say, I think this could be better if we just like were able to have a little bit more time to like do this. I feel like they're so willing to make the product better, and it's not about the ends meet. It's about creating something that we're proud of. And I think that the reason why people love working at Pixar is it has a combination of three things um, that I think people are looking for. It's uh, it has an impact on society. It's extremely challenging, and so there's like these new like um, uh, technologies that are being like pioneered and innovated, and that's it's just really fun to be around that. And I think the third thing is just it has a sense of family, you know. My boss, you know, I love him to death, and my manager, I feel like she's like my work mom, you know. Oh Lord, yes, probably many. I think I've been lucky enough where there's I feel like I've had a lot of mentors in my life, and they all just kind of showed up, you know. But probably the greatest one would be my mom. Uh, there's nothing better in somebody's life than being able to amplify what's inside of somebody else, right? And I think that's what Spot does to Arlo in this movie, right? At first, Arlo didn't want Spot's help, right? So he refused to accept energy from this external source. And I wouldn't say that who Arlo became, um, that all of the energy that Arlo had to become a strong person in the end, I don't think that it all came from Spot. I think he just lit the fire inside of Arlo. And in the same way, I think like, you know, like, yeah, I think my mom kind of like made me believe in myself.